Hello everybody, I'm Bunnytan and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be building Professor Tangrowth's laboratory, Pokemon Research Lab. And I am starting out with my floor plan, so that way it is easier for me to figure out where everything is supposed to go. Right now I'm building up a hallway, and I also have the hexagons down for Professor Tangrowth's labs area, and right now I'm building out an observatory. I thought an observatory would be a nice addition, as well as a greenhouse for research purposes. And since Professor Tangrowth is, kinda obsessed with people coming back, I thought an observatory would be a great addition to his lab, since he would be looking out for when the humans would come back. And so I am just building out the walls for this, so that way I can kind of figure out where the boundaries are. A little bit more about this build. I was inspired by Professor Magnolia's research laboratory from Sword and Shield. So the first part of this building here is a tower, which is kind of what you see here. Kind of similar to that vibe is what I'm going for. Kind of cottagey-esque. I don't really know what else to call it, but kind of more with nature, I guess. I had previously built Suicune home, and I kind of also used this vibe for their house, so I thought it'd be appropriate to continue the vibe here. I'm just filling out all of the window sections and the greenhouse area. And I thought a purple roof would be a nice accent to this house. I wanted this space to have a lot of windows, so that way it really kind of played into Professor Tangrowth's character with watching for humans and just observing and being a professor. And I'm building out his room area right now, kind of adding a window so we can kind of see what he's researching. And I'm working on this tower some more. I'm gonna make it tall, but not terribly tall. I also am planning on adding a windmill on top of this tower as a nod to Professor Oak's laboratory. And also so I can generate power, because I need power for this house. Now that we have the windmill being built, I'm just continuing on with building out the walls of this place. I'm also adding a loft area to the laboratory for Professor Tangrowth to have a home, like area where he can sleep and cook and stuff. Just continuing to add wall accents, so that way it has a really nice consistent vibe all the way through, and the windmill is done. So I'm gonna check that out. Thanks Heracross and Lampent. I'm not going to make this portion of the building as tall as the tower, because I want the tower to be the main focus. So this area is going to be a little bit shorter. I'm gonna make this roof partly pointy and then part flat. The windmill will kind of act as my point on top of the tower. And I also wanted to make the greenhouse windows a little bit longer so that way you can kind of actually see if you're standing next to the building. Otherwise, it's a little too tall. Now I'm building out the observatory, but I decided that the round shape I initially went with was a little too awkward for me, so I started squaring it out a bit. And now I'm just kind of figuring out where the walls are going to go and building out the front part of the observatory. I'm using these wedges to kind of like round it out so it still has a bit of roundness to it. It's a little bit more functional as a square. I did try to make the top part of the observatory a little more rounded and domed shape, but kind of like a half dome. So that way we could still kind of like see outside, because I'm gonna put a bunch of glass panels into the dome so that way it's like one big view. I really had no plan going into this. I was just like, this is what I want to build, and then I just started doing it. So this is like a little chaotic, but that's okay because I'm not doing math. That's just not happening. So if it's a little uneven, it's fine. It's not a big deal. No one's going to notice. Except for maybe those perfectionists, but it's fine. But I extended the glass all the way up to the top just for a nice little look. And I'm just filling in all the gaps here so that way rain isn't getting in. And I'm filling in that bottom glass for the greenhouse. I thought the awnings was a cute little nice touch. And this is the first time I've really painted a lot of stuff for a build. And getting white paint is kind of a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. What do you mean? I only get it sometimes. Anyway, I'm finishing building up this roof portion here for Professor Tangrowth's roof over his bedroom. And again, following with the one pointed side, one flat side, so that way it's not taller than the tower. And now I'm just laying down some more walls and placement for log beams. And I'm adding a loft to the observatory, so that way you can kind of like see up the top higher portion of the building. And adding a staircase so you can actually get up to there. Initially, I had made the staircase only one width wide. And then I was like, well, if I do that, Professor Tangrowth's gonna have a hard time getting up it. So I made it 2 stairs wide, so that way any Pokemon can go up those stairs. Except for maybe Kyogre. Poor Kyogre. He's a little too big to go in here. My boy. But just adding on the finishing touches to the observatory and adding some decorations to, or stairs to Professor Tangrowth's loft. And just continuing on with the awning theme and adding those wood pillars. Finishing up this glass. And now finishing up the windows and roof section over the laboratory. Now just making sure everything is well blended and not awkward looking, and adding in some cute little window roof thingies. I don't know what they're called. And to add the back deck for relaxation. I will be adding the support structures later. I didn't feel like doing that right now, so I didn't. And I'm just adding decorations and just flattening out the roof so that way it's not too lumpy looking from below, and adding some accents to really bring everything together. And I'm doing the same for Professor Tangrowth's bedroom area. You know, adding some roof supports to really give off some nice finished looks. I'm adding some windows to the front area of the laboratory. It was a little awkward, so I just kind of moved the beams around so it looked better. And now I am adding a bathroom to the laboratory because it's not a home unless there's a bathroom. And I pretty much have been decorating, and I'm just adding in this little rock garden as a final touch to kind of bring the outside look together. And here is the final look. We have the entrance hallway and the greenhouse, the laboratory that you can see, and then over there is the observatory. Here's the beams as you walk down, and we have some small relics as well as large relics. We have the outside deck and the view from the loft area. You can see outside. And then here is the inside of Professor's laboratory. And his bathroom. And his bedroom. The upstairs loft. The outside of the greenhouse. And the inside, we got a nice little tea set, fully furnished and decorated because we know he likes humidity. I actually forgot that Professor Tangrowth's home request needed a specific habitat for him, so this is me redesigning his bedroom to fit along with his habitat that he needs to finish this quest, which is a treasure trove habitat, which requires his treasure trove, 4 large relics, and a bed. And he appears right away and is very happy for his new home. And I'm just cleaning up the mess I made trying to figure this out, because I tried to put it downstairs initially, so I moved his bookshelf. So I'm just throwing a quick little locker here and then fixing this floor, and then placing back his rug and curtains. And I did not paint those curtains pink, they came like that, but that's how it is. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. I hope you enjoy this build. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.